So, we've got a moody atmosphere, a mysterious illness plaguing humans, puppets whipped into a frenzy, and lies. Well, in this world, you either lie or die. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's the one and only Lost Angel of Havoc here, aka Laytato. Welcome back to another installment of Laytato Clips, where we've got a little bit of everything. And today we'll be going over the basics of Lies of P. Lies of P is a new Souls-like action RPG inspired by the works of Carlo Collodi. It is set in the late 19th, early 20th century Europe during the Belle Epoque, or Beautiful Era. Now, it goes without saying, if you're familiar with Dark Souls or any other Souls-like games, some things come pretty standard with the experience. However, I'm going to lean into the assumption that this is your first time in the rodeo, and I want to show you the metaphorical ropes. Or strings, since we're talking puppets, right? Be sure to stick around until the end of the video, as after we're covering the basics, I'll be giving out a bonus tip regarding combat situations that should help you out early on. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and checking out this video. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to discuss today is starting classes or combat styles. When you first begin the game, the first decision you'll need to make is choosing your combat style, which also by proxy determines your starting weapon. You'll want to pick the one that you feel best fits your general playstyle. The Path of the Bastard's moveset involves quick thrusting attacks that require you to get in close. Path of the Sweeper does more overall damage with its attacks, but it consumes more stamina, so you'll have to be more mindful of combat situations. With Path of the Cricket, you get the best of both worlds. While you may not get the big damage numbers, you don't have to get in super close, and stamina consumption is more manageable, so you can land more attacks and still dodge to avoid being hit. The next thing we'll be discussing is your basic healing tool, pulse cells. You'll find them right in front of the statue when entering Krat Central Station. Seriously, you can't miss them. You'll initially start out with 3, although you'll be able to increase their capacity as you progress through the game. Now, the neat thing about pulse cells is that even after you use the last one, you'll be able to regenerate a new one by damaging enemies. So if you find yourself out of cells, but there are some enemies nearby, take them out with caution, and once the gauge fills up, you'll have one more extra to use. If you're in a drawn-out fight, this process can be repeated, and there's also a very noticeable and sharp audio cue when the cell recharges. If you're outside of combat, pulse cells can be refreshed at Stargazers, which we'll be going over next. Stargazers act as your game checkpoint and fast travel locations. When you die, you respawn at the last Stargazer that you interacted with beforehand, and as you progress through the game, you'll be able to do different things such as assembling weapons, switching out your Legion arms, etc., all at Stargazers. Now, early on, you'll also be able to use any Ergo that you've gained thus far to level up at the very first Stargazer that you run into at Krat Central Station Plaza. This only works until you meet Sophia at Hotel Krat. Now, you're probably at this point asking, Lay, what is Ergo? Don't worry, I got you. Ergo acts as the in-game currency of Lies of P. It can be used to level up your stats and or to purchase items throughout the game. Lore-wise, this also makes sense as Ergo is the power source used to animate the puppets in the world of Lies of P. I'm happy to dig a little bit deeper into that if that's the content that you'd like to see. Let me know in the comments. Now, getting back to Ergo itself, like with many other Souls-like games, Ergo is lost upon death, and you have to make your way back to where you died in order to retrieve it. Something Lies of P does differently, though, is if you die in a boss encounter, your lost Ergo will spawn right outside of the boss room, thus giving you the chance to retrieve it and use it before you risk it again. Now, that said, this element only applies to bosses that are in specific arenas. Ergo will still spawn where you died if you died to a boss that's in the open world. Now, another thing that Lies of P does differently, and I actually think it's really very well done, is that it'll have a display of how much lost Ergo you have to recover when you respawn after dying. Underneath your current Ergo count, there will be a highlighted section in orange that displays the lost Ergo that you can still pick back up. All that said, if you die before getting back to your lost Ergo, it is gone forever, just like the sanity I had before I started playing Souls games. Now, the last thing that we're going to go over as far as the basics is leveling. Obviously, your stats, like we've talked about before on this channel, can drastically change how the game feels. Now, I will be making a full video explaining the stats of Lies of P next, but for now, we're going to cover what you need to know about leveling when starting out. As I said earlier, you can level up very early in the game at the first Stargazer you come to. However, once you get to Hotel Krat and meet Sophia, she'll act as your vendor for leveling. As with Ergo itself, there is a lore element to this, though I'll have to look into that a little bit more as well. That said, if you find yourself casually strolling around with a big bank of Ergo, I definitely recommend using a Stargazer and getting to Hotel Krat and turning them into Sophia to increase your stats. Each level requires a little bit more Ergo than the previous one, so early on you'll want to be mindful of how you're allocating levels, since every level up becomes more costly as you progress. And that should about do it as far as covering the initial basics when starting out Lies of P. You should have a good feel now of how to make your way through at least getting to Hotel Krat. If you made it this far, thank you so much for sticking around. As promised, I wanted to give you an extra tip regarding combat flow that does get explained in game, but it's very quick and easy to breeze past in the excitement of playing. It happened to me. But we're going to talk about staggers and fatal blows. When you're fighting the various enemies throughout the game, make sure to pay close attention to their health bar. If you do enough damage, their health bar will start to glow white for a short period, giving you the chance to stagger them with a heavy attack. Now, if you land a full heavy attack, the enemy's stance will break completely, and they'll have a red indicator flashing on their body. Once this occurs, press the button for your light attack and it'll trigger a fatal blow, which does a huge amount of damage and can even insta-kill weaker enemies. Bosses are no exception. They can get it too. If you do manage to stagger a boss, the indicator will show up on their body, but it'll also be a spot on the ground where you'll need to stand for your light attack to trigger the fatal blow. Timing is key here because you'll only have a short window of time once their health bar glows white to stagger them, and the window for a fatal blow is even shorter. So just make sure you strike while the iron is hot, as it were. But that's all I have for this introductory video to the world of Lies of P. As always, if you enjoyed the video or find it helpful in any way, all I ask is that you give it a thumbs up for me. It's a little bit, but it does go a long way in terms of supporting the channel and helping it grow, and I just greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're always first to catch the latest video. My name is Lost Angel of Havoc. Thank you for watching Late Tato Clips. We'll see you next time, friends. Same late time, same late channel.